That is what the shirt says. Thank you. I'm glad that you've established your ability to read, because I feel like this episode's going to get into maths a little bit or something, and I'm really going to struggle.
Jesus, maths. Okay, so we're going to talk about Astral Magick.
Now, we've talked about Astral Magick before.
Yeah.
So we're getting into a slightly different component. This is more practical.
Practical magic.
I was not going to complete that sentence.
A practical component.
So you do have Nicole Kidman's hair colour.
Really? I think it's more aerial.
Yeah, she went a bit darker for that film. Anyway, from what I remember, as we ascertained already, I can't remember that film very much, other than there are two of them in there.
Things what we're doing this weekend.
Watching Kiki's Delivery Service.
And Practical Magic.
I mean, if you don't want to watch Supernatural anymore.
No.
That's fine.
No, we're watching Soups. Anyway. I forgot what you asked.
Soups is about the boys. So what we're talking about today, having talked about Astral Magick previously, is this is going to be much more of a practical, kind of a how-to, but some of the things you need to consider around doing it, because it's a lot about timing. Like comedy. The secret of good timing is comedy. The secret of good comedy is timing.
Yeah.
That feels like that's the most important part, or one of the most important parts of practicing Astral Magick.
Timing, yes.
Is everything.
Yes, that's
All
true.
right, let's get into it.
So, you know how in a small segue, miles away from what you've just said.
So I was talking about the episode.
Yeah. How you... No, I mean, it's about the episode.
Okay.
I think Astral Magick in pop culture shows up in the weirdest little snippets of conversation, and not one time will they call it Astral Magick.
Right.
So, if you cast your mind back to season 1 of Buffy,
Yeah.
where Giles is trying to work out when the Master will arise, that is Astral Magick, essentially. In the same way that astronomers can predict when Halley's Comet is going to come back round, Giles can use astronomy/astrology to work out when the Master will arise.
Okay.
That's the timing bit of it. Now, when we talk about Astral Magick, it's not because we want to create hell on earth and rise the Master. Woohoo! No, we don't want to do that.
Okay. So, kind of going back to our last episode.
Where is magic evil?
Yeah, so that's kind of like, so Astral Magick, so there's a certain time for the Master's Ascension. They go back to that later on, though, don't they, in season 3 with the mayor graduation. So it's all to do with timing. This is alignment, and again, so they're portraying that as a bad thing.
Yeah, like always. Ugh.
But the timing element is the key part of it. So it's like planets have to be, because everyone's always talking about planets need to be aligned for this, or the stars have aligned for you, as if it's like a good fortune type thing.
Yeah.
Even in Marvel, they have the convergence and stuff in that really bad Thor film, The Dark World, where the elves are coming to the Dark Elves. Sorry, not just elves. Ben and Holly are not going to be happy with us. The Dark Elves are coming to take over, and they can do it's a convergence, like all of the realms are aligned.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's timing. Astral Magick.
Absolutely. So it's knowing when is the best time to do something.
Yeah.
And you're right, you can be nerdy and you can use maths.
Well, it's because there's layers upon layers of this, aren't there? Because it's not just where the planets are, and by planets we don't actually mean planets, because the sun is included, is that right?
The sun is a planet, and the moon.
And the moon.
And Pluto.
And Pluto, which is a planet, how dare you.
You can have a good word with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or whatever his name is.
I don't need to, Sheldon's already told him off.
Yes, exactly.
So there's planets that aren't just planets. Then there's the stars. Then there's the positions relative to one another, not just the positions to themselves. Mm-hmm. And then there's zodiac signs, which are relevant, but also then there's planetary houses or something. Am I getting that wrong? Not like Hogwarts, but I mean like...
like the sorting hat. It's kind of... It works it all out.
All right. Yeah. But you know, but depending on the position that they're in, relative to certain dates and stuff like that, it affects different aspects of your life.
So that's astrology. Yes, you're right.
But that's part of this.
It is.
Right,
okay.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
You are. And
I did some learning like 5 minutes ago, so I'm keen to get it out while it's still in my head.
You should have written it down. Anyway, yes. So to be clear, astrology has sort of set a lot of the rules for Astral Magick. Mm-hmm. And I say that because all of the correspondences and the characteristics of the planets and what an Aries person is like, that all of that comes from astrology. Mm-hmm. So astral magicians are not trying to add new stuff into that. What they're doing is they're using the characteristics of planets, they're using the characteristics of star signs, they're using the way that planets sit within star signs, and they're using the way the planets line up with each other. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff comes from astrology. The bit that makes it about magic is using that information to elect when to do something. And there is a whole branch of astrology called electional astrology. So astrologers, when they are commissioned to do something, they may have a client that comes to them to say, oh, I'm thinking of starting a business. When would be the best time to do that?
Okay.
So they are doing that, and they'll produce a chart and they'll go, oh, it'll be Tuesday, the 5th of December 2025.
All right. So electional is around choosing to do the thing. Mm-hmm. It's not about voting.
No, it's electing to do something. Right, it's not, the primaries or whatever is going on in the States at the moment.
Vote for which star is going to be using this magic. Oh, it's the North Star again. Oh, boo.
No, that's not it. It's electing to do something. But when you are using the services of an astrologer to work out when the best time to do something is, it might be to get married, it might be to move house, it might be to do something quite big, mm-hmm. that you have some control over when that might happen.
Okay.
In magic, you're looking at the best time to cast a spell using the same kinds of information that an astrologer would be using. So when a client will go to visit an astrologer, they're not necessarily trying to understand all the magic stuff. They just, I want to move house. Mm-hmm. When would be the best time? Oh, it will be then. But a magician will take that and go, I want to move house. I'm going to cast a spell to make it happen so I can get the best kind of house. Right. When's the best time to do that? Okay, then they will overlay spell stuff, correspondences. They will write an incantation, they will perform a ritual. But other people just want to go talk to an astrologer, but magicians want to pile on. So astral magicians, What?
Magicians just want to pile on.
They just want to pile on everything.
Feels like a just a normal project. So we're doing this, we're delivering the project, this is all fine, but now the client just wants to pile on with all these added extras that they're not necessary. I've got the answer. It does what I want it to do. No. We need to have some sparkles over here.
Yeah. Oh, the client is always right though.
Yeah, the client is not always right.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. No, I just like the idea of that. This is a nice way of describing it. Magicians just want to pile on.
And I include myself in that.
Okay.
When astral magicians want to choose the timing to cast a spell, they will have a look at not everything that an astrologer will look at. Right? This is where you start to, not only will astral magicians pile on, they will also go, I don't need that.
Yeah, so they're piling on and rejecting some of the original stuff. So it's like they're just with less information, I'm going to make these decisions.
Yeah, and I'm not an astrologer, so there may be parts of what I'm about to say, astrologers say, no, that's not it. And that's fine. You can tell me that I'm getting it wrong. I don't mind.
Like and subscribe.
But an astrologer, when a client goes to see an astrologer, they may be wanting information about their life. An astrologer will then create what is called a natal chart. Sometimes a client will go, as we've talked about before, about electional astrology. They have a thing that they want to do. When is the best time to do that?
Yep.
So they will create a different kind of chart.
Okay.
But in both sort of charts, they're looking at star signs, they're looking at all the planets, they're looking at where star signs and planets sit within what we call houses. Now, these are 12 divisions of the sky.
Right, and these are different to zodiac signs.
Yes, that's right.
But there's 12 of them.
There's still 12 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they happen at the same time?
So, right. Houses are... It's like this imaginary zone system that goes around the Earth, but it's fixed.
Right.
So in the east, at the horizon, is always the first house. It's
Okay,
like
so
zone one.
It turns...
The Earth turns, but the houses stay the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Whereas the zodiac...
The zodiac is the fixed stars that move. So they're always moving around this zone system. They're always going through it.
Are they moving, or is it us that are moving?
Oh, everybody's moving, but from our position relative to the universe, we're stood still.
This just makes I look up. So the house that's above me, as it were, is always the same.
Always number 10, but straight up.
Okay. But the stars, obviously, because of the movement, are going to be different. Therefore, the zodiac that's above me is going to be different.
That's right.
Right, okay.
So when you are looking up at house number 10, which is always there, yes, from your position relative to everything else, it will look like the stars are moving through that particular house.
House number 10.
Yes, and obviously house number 10, house number 5 is underneath you because, like we said last week, the Earth is round.
It is round.
Spoilers.
So, and so the houses they're just numbered. 1
to 12.
Okay,
yes.
They don't have fancy names like Slytherin.
I don't think they have fancy names. No, I just think it's first house, second house. I mean, I could be wrong because there are different branches of astrology that may have named them fancy things.
No, that's cool. So it's more Hunger Games, District 1, District 2, District 3.
Sure.
Yep.
And so house number 1. And all of these 12 houses are all sort of divided up and they represent different bits of the human experience.
Okay.
So we talked about house number 10. That's about your place in the world, like career, and big stuff, and how the world sees you, and stuff like that.
Right.
House number 1, that's all about you as a person.
Okay.
What an astral magician is looking for is what is going on in that house and waiting for the right star sign and the right planet to be passing through it.
Right.
And that's part of the timing. So if you wanted to cast a spell about how you perceive yourself, for example, you might wait until a certain planet, which is all about the self, which is the sun, is in house number 1.
Right.
All about the self.
Okay.
So that's what you might be looking for. And then you would know, well, the sun, as it's in house number 1, great, that's the perfect position for that planet to be in. And you might layer on other things as well, like a particular star sign. So you might choose something like Aries, or if you wanted it to be more about your emotional self, you might choose Cancer. So because the zodiac is always going round and round, the planets are always going round and round, you kind of have to wait to see when the two things that you want are going to be in the right bit of the sky.
So it's kind of like, so if I'm picturing it in my head in a 2-dimensional format, it's like a whole bunch of circles moving at different speeds, and you're just kind of waiting. You've moved this one, okay, so here's the house, and then I've moved, here's my planet, and then coming up on the outside, here's some stars, and so they're all in a line. Do it.
Yeah,
do it
quick,
now.
cast the spell, quick. Yeah, and obviously you look at the chart, which is where the maths potentially comes in.
Yeah, maths.
Yeah, but not for me because I'm hopeless at maths, so I just use an app.
Digital maths that someone else has made.
Exactly.
Nice.
Someone else has worked out the maths. Awesome. So you just kind of play around with the maths if you want to do it yourself, or you play around with the app to sort of work out, well, when would be the right time to do this? And you just sort of keep putting in dates and seeing, well, what planets are there. And that's one way you can do it. If you've not got the patience, or you're kind of finding that there isn't the really perfect time to do this, and this is kind of where astrologers get a bit tense about it, because everything is important in what astrology is looking at, but not so much with Astral Magick. What you can do is you can work out the closest possible time and then try to work with what you've got.
Right, okay.
So, if you've got your sun and it's in zone 1, it's in the first house, but you haven't quite got the star sign that goes with it, then you might have to just work with whatever star sign you've got and try to use the characteristics that best suit or closest suit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So going back to that kind of like project analogy, it's like I'm delivering a project. I need 3 developers to build this thing. I've got 2 and someone else who isn't a developer. I'm trying not to be overly.
You're being so niche here.
Being exclusive. So I'm just going to have to work with what I've got. It's fine. Right, I can't get 3. I've got 2 and this other resource. I'll work with what I've got, and we'll just have to accept that it's not going to do these things that the magician has piled on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or another analogy is it's like cooking, and you've looked at your recipe book, and actually you don't have demerara sugar. You've just got boring white cubes. So that'll do.
That's a better analogy. That's much easier to understand. That's a much better analogy. Yeah.
So, and that's basically it. I don't mean it to sound like we're drug dealers, but essentially we are cooking the best time to create an outcome. Cooking with the stars,
not dancing with the stars. No. Cooking with the stars.
That would be a weird show.
Copyright Magenta.
Yeah.
ABC, NBC, or any other alphabetical American TV networks. We're going to steal that.
Ainsley Harriott. presents it in my head.
I'm sure he does. All right. That's quite straightforward. I mean, it feels like it's a very complicated thing to have to work out, which is why there are apps for it.
Yeah, because it's the maths.
Actually, conceptually, it's quite straightforward.
Yeah.
Right things, right place, right time, most effective.
Yeah.
Or just, if you don't have time to wait, live with what you can do as best as close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it differs from people who practice, I don't know, like Wicca or, other kinds of magic, in that they would just be worrying about correspondences between candles and herbs and stuff like that. That's what their focus is, and they might it doesn't matter. They'll just do it whenever. That, I feel like casting a spell today, okay, just do it. Because they want to get on with the magic. And astral magicians, they'll be looking at, right, I know I'm going to cast the spell, it'll be about my career, so I'll have to wait for so-and-so to be in the 10th house, and that means I can't actually cast my spell, having worked it all out, until next February.
So, actually, you mentioned correspondences and stuff. This, for Astral Magick, this concept of timing applies to correspondences as well, doesn't it? So you pick certain ingredients, or you collect certain ingredients, or you do your candle stuff at certain times as well. So it's not just the spell, it's the, for want of a better word, paraphernalia around it.
Sure. The ingredients for the spell.
You're obsessed with your cooking analogy. Yes, all right. The paraphernalia. How does that work then? So I've got a spell I need. I want to make a spell, do a spell to help my career. So I know that I've got to wait for this house, this planet that might not actually be a planet, and these stars to be in alignment to be the most potent. But my ingredients for that spell need to be X, Y, and Z. Now I've got these here, so I need to do some magic to them at a certain time, but then I need to go and pick these, forage for these. So I need to get these at a certain time. Now, at which point does that mean that this point over here, where the spell's going to take place, is in danger, because actually the ingredients I need to do that spell I can't get until after, and then I have to wait another year or whatever for it to be aligned?
No, and this is because the way we practice here at Magenta, we try to collect things like herbs throughout the year. The days of the week correspond to certain planets, and there are hours in the day that also correspond to certain planets. So there are apps that can tell you what they call it, the planetary hour. So there are apps that can tell you what planetary hour it is right now. Right.
And these are still planets plus the sun plus the moon.
Yes. So for example...
But not Earth.
No, because the Earth is the centre of everything.
It's a very medieval way of thinking.
Yeah, well, obviously, because astrology was invented in like ancient times.
Okay.
So from the perspective of the people who invented it, everything is happening around them.
So it's everything in relation to everything's position is in relation to Earth.
Yes.
So you can't count Earth as being one of them, because that would make no sense.
Yeah, that's just where you stood.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to cast a spell for yourself or whatever, let's just use your career analogy, right? Say you want to expand your career. You want it to boom. So the planet that you might choose, all about expansion, would be Jupiter, because from astrology, Jupiter tells us that Jupiter has characteristics of expansion.
All right. So it's not just because Jupiter's fat.
Well, yeah, but this is where these correspondences come from. People who decided Jupiter was all about expansion could see that Jupiter was the biggest and the brightest.
So rude.
It is, though. Fat. Anyway, so Jupiter has a day of the week that corresponds to it. That's Thursday. Thor's day. So that's where all of this...
Jeudi.
Whatever.
In French.
Yeah.
I think. I may have got that wrong. I think it's Jeudi. I think it is.
So Thursday. So because obviously days of the week come round every week, you can go out and be proactive to collect herbs that correspond to the planet Jupiter on a Thursday in the hour of Jupiter, even before you know what spell you want to cast.
So it would still need to be within the hour, but it could be any day within the hour. You wouldn't necessarily need to wait for stars to be in a certain position.
Well, you could. I mean, you'd have to create yourself an order of precedence over what bits are going to be more important to you. The hour or the day, or both the hour and the day, could be part of that order of precedence. So when you are looking to cast a spell, you might include not only where Jupiter is in the sky, you might also include, is it on a Thursday, and then will it be in the hour of Jupiter? But that can present problems because there'll be things that it doesn't align maybe for a decade like that. So that's where we talk about before, where sometimes you just have to live with what you've got.
Go with what you got.
And if it's not on a Thursday, what else could you use?
Okay.
You know, within those correspondences. So for your career spell, the most opportune time would, if you wanted to collect ingredients to create a ritual for casting the spell, would be to be proactive, go out, make sure you've got the ingredients. So you've collected some Jupiter herbs. You did that on a Thursday. Then when you come to look at the chart, you come to decide, right, this is what I need to do, and I'm going to do it when Jupiter is above me in the 10th house, which is all about your place in the world, your career, how people look at you, like your vocation. That would be the most opportune time. And then you would cast your spell using the ingredients that you've already got.
Right, okay.
And then you cast your spell, and so then ta-da!
You can have like a larder of spell ingredients that you've collected at certain points.
That's right. And this is why we are pretty proactive in that we've got loads of spell ingredients kicking around. You know, they're all drying in the windows and stuff, ready, and all the rest of it.
So I was just now thinking of like food bloggers and stuff. And I'm just going to make something with ingredients you have just lying around the house, like, you know, a dodo feather. Just general basic staples that anyone has.
That any good witch would have, yes. Yes, quite.
Right. But that makes much more sense, because otherwise you'd never cast a spell.
That's right. And so the reason why I think Astral Magick works better than other forms of magic is because you know that you can't just go and throw some things in a pan immediately. You know, you've decided, shit, I need to change my life, I better get on that spell. We talked before about the psychology of magic and how you might need to do some work before the spell in priming. I think, for me personally, using electional astrology gives you the best opportunity to start that priming, because if you know, I want to cast a spell about my career, but I have to wait for Jupiter to be in the right bit of the sky, in the right star sign, on the right day, in the right hour, you know that's going to be a bit of time away. You've got all that time to be thinking, priming, working out your well-formed outcomes and your ritual and
visualizing.
All of that.
Yeah.
That's what will help make it successful.
Yeah.
I think it affords the best opportunity to be able to realise the outcome successfully than just bippity boppity boo. It's done.
Yeah. So
giving it 30 seconds of a ritual, lighting a candle, done. I don't think, I mean, for some that does work and that's great, But for me, and I just need the lead time, basically. That's why things work.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Were I to cast a spell for that kind of thing, then yes, I would come to you and ask around talk about what I wanted to do, what I was trying to achieve, and then work out what's the best time for things. I think I would, because that's how you practice. It's what I'm exposed to, if you like. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't come to you and say, right, I'm going to do this, right, give me some ingredients, I'm going to set fire to them and say bibbity bobbity boo, and then tomorrow I'm going to have a whole new career. I'm going to be a lawyer. I've never studied in my life, but that's what I want to do, so I'm going to be a lawyer now because I cast a spell. Yeah.
Yes, I have had people come to me to say, I'd like to cast a spell for blah blah blah. When would be the best time to do that, or whatever? Yeah. Can you write me the ritual? Can you show me what ingredients? And then it's up to them. But I will say, that's the best time. It needs to be on this Sunday at this time. Blah blah blah. There you go. And then it's up to them then.
Yeah, that sounds like a service we should offer to our listeners.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will, for paid subscribers. Told you money was evil. All right, cool.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
I know that.
I mean, when you think about it conceptually, it's quite scary. Because there's lots of moving parts and timings. It's kind of like, oh my God, if I don't get it exactly at this point, then it's ruined and it's wrong. But as you said, you can use your sugar cubes. You can use your alternatives. There are, what is acceptable.
That's right.
And it's just about planning, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the four things that you need to know and understand are the planets, the stars.
That aren't just planets.
The planets, yes. So we're including Sun, Moon in that, and Pluto. Poor Pluto. Getting kicked out of the gang like that.
He's allowed in our gang.
Yeah, but there are other bits that astrologers will look at that we don't really get into.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, I distracted you. You said there were four things.
Planets, stars, star signs, of which there are 12.
Yep.
Not just the star sign that you are, or the sun sign rather that you are.
They're all relevant.
They are all relevant, and they're all used, and they are all useful. So getting familiar with the characteristics of star signs is also useful to know. And then, so planets, star signs, houses, how is the whole sky, not just the thing you can see above you, but the thing that's going on underneath you in the other side of the world, their sky. How is it all divided up? There are 12 things corresponding to the 12 different parts of human existence. We could run through those if you want.
Sure, but let's finish the fourth thing first.
And then the fourth thing is what astrologers will call aspects. And this is basically how the planets line up with each other. So they're all kind of spying on one another. And if they can see them perfectly, or if they struggle to see them, those are called aspects. Some aspects are hard. That's not a good word. So that usually means they're butting heads with one another, and they can cancel out some of the more positive characteristics of the planet. And then the other one, easy aspects are the ones that you want to look for when you are like looking on apps and stuff. So those are the words that will be used. Hard aspects, easy aspects. So when you're looking to use a planet for the magic that you want to cast, you want to make sure it's forming an easy aspect with any of the other planets you might want to involve. Because you could involve all of them. You could go big.
That feels like a taking over the world spell.
Yeah.
All right. So before we finish them, just for listeners, viewers' benefits, you were going to say what the 12 houses are.
All right. So the 12 houses and the way it's divided up. So the way that the sky above and below is divided up.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the first house, as we said before, that's always in the east. It does not move. It's always
none of them
there.
move.
None of the houses move. No. So that's the house of the self.
Right.
So it's all about how you look, sort of what you feel about yourself, your own personal confidence, how you perceive yourself to be,
Right.
your personality. First house stuff. The second house is all about nice things.
Okay.
So small things like a bit of money and possessions.
Right. What's that one called?
The house of value.
Okay.
The third house is the house of sharing.
And having and receiving.
Giving and loving. So the house of sharing, this is about communication. It can often be about your siblings. So the I don't know, sort of the house you grew up in with the people you grew up with.
Right, okay.
Small communities like that.
Yeah.
The fourth house is in the house of home and family. So slightly bigger. It can include parents in that, and it's just a slightly bigger community. And it can also be about comfort, security, and sort of your immediate safety.
Right, okay.
In the world.
And by bigger community, do you mean like that you grew up in, like the neighbourhood and stuff like that, rather than whereas the other house, the second house of third house,
siblings
house of sharing, where it's just that immediate family, community.
Yeah, and then the fourth house slightly more expanded. So when you imagine it, the house, the wheel of houses sort of starts with just you as the self, and it sort of expands.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
As it goes
okay,
round.
that makes sense.
The fifth house. The house of pleasure. And this is all about sort of hobbies.
Oh, okay.
Recreation, stuff what you like doing.
Because that does sound like something you'd find in Game of Thrones, like revisiting the house of pleasure. Wink.
Yeah. And then the sixth house is the house of health. It can also include skills, apprenticeship, type training,
development stuff.
Yeah.
So not just your own well-being. Well, I suppose development is part of your well-being, not just your health.
No, health and well-being.
Right. Okay.
And then the seventh house is the house of balance, and this can include partnerships, relationships, marriage. Does not include sex though. That gets its own house.
That wasn't the house of pleasure.
No. The eighth house, the house of transformation, is all about sex, death, and taxes. Yeah.
The house of transformation. Okay. Right. Or the house of undeniables.
Sex, death, and taxes.
Very good.
Yeah, the ninth house is the house of purpose. This is all about wisdom, being wisdomous, your experience in the world. The 10th house is the house of enterprise. This is about ambition and career and how the world sees you and things like that.
Okay.
The 11th house is the house of blessings.
Okay.
This is about friends and friendships and nice things like that, being part of a community much wider than just your little house.
Yeah.
Wider community groups and society, blah, blah, blah. The 12th house is the house of sacrifice. This is all about releasing. It can also be about spirituality and sort of self-reflection and sort of seclusion.
Okay. All right. That was really helpful. I get it. I do get it now.
Okay.
I think. But I think so. I'm hoping that was useful to people. It's kind of how this whole thing's been, really, for me. I don't know about for you. Like for the whole seasons of these. It's just been a bit of me learning more, understanding more, seeing where pop culture has lied continually. There's been loads of really good, useful concepts and stuff introduced as well throughout this season for me. So thank you.
Because this is the last one now.
Yeah, I know.
You made it.
I did. I got to the end.
You did.
But lots of the other stuff, we talked about, what did we talk about? Not synchronicity.
We did.
We did talk about, I was thinking of serendipity. It's not serendipity, it is synchronicity. So we talked about synchronicity, so that was really cool. That was really interesting. I like learning about the different types, or giving names to different types of magic. So the definitions of magic. Yeah. And the kind of the notion of ceremonial stuff, and astral magic, which we talked about today and in other podcasts and things like that. The fact, the notion of high and low magic and where that definition comes from, which is, I don't know why I should have needed to learn that, because that's no surprise whatsoever. A whole bunch of white men decided that they wanted this. We like this one, we're doing this one, so that's high and that's allowed, and look at my lovely gown. You're doing it differently and we don't like that because you don't have a gown. So you're low magic and that's bad. That's heresy. We're going to burn you. Yeah, Halloween was fun.
Yeah, goodness, yes, the Halloween one.
Yeah.
I personally learnt an awful lot about garden witches.
Yeah, different types of witches. That was bizarre to me. and how pop culture has basically stolen liberally and twisted slightly, perhaps, or just used different elements of it to create a new perception. And then, with the, Willow doing the magic and all the things are flying around my head and they're off doing that sort of stuff, you don't really get to see that so much. I have learnt a lot, I think. Good. So there's nothing left for me to learn.
But you're not coming back for season 3.
I'll come back for season 3. I'll come back for season 3.
Tentatively.
Well, I need to work out what we want to talk about in season 3.
Yeah. So season 1, you were in more than you thought you were in.
Yeah, you snuck me in. Just having conversations with you. In America, you have to tell people that you're recording them.
You do here. It's called GDPR.
Okay, and I kind of feel like that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, no, that did not happen.
No, you just recorded me singing.
Yeah, you sang in... I want to say you sang in season 2 as well, at some point.
Possibly. Not intentionally, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
My voice is not a public singing voice. My voice is a car singing voice on my own, because, I can't find tunes, let alone hold them.
You can find tunes.
Yeah, not the right ones.
It doesn't matter.
Other tunes.
that go with the different songs. It's nice. It's called a mashup.
A mashup?
Yeah.
That's a very generous way of saying it's not very good.
So, you'll be back for season 3.
Yeah, I will be back for season 3.
Season 1 was mostly tutorial.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Lecture style.
Don't make it sound like that. It's okay, so season 1 is more in aligned with the magic school itself.
Yeah.
Which is very much instructional.
Yes.
Season 1.
Yes.
Instructional. Season 2.
Edutainment.
Is that what this is?
Edutainment.
Edutainment,
yes.
Okay.
Entertaining education.
Yeah.
For me and others.
And then season 3, well, we'll have to work on the concepts, won't we?
Where do you go from here? Down. I think down.
I think down to... No, we don't go down.
To Zone 5. House 5. The House of the Dragon. Wait, no, that's something else. All right.
But that's season 2.
That's it. That's our season.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll see you in season 3.
And I'll see you in season 3.
That sounded more than mildly threatening.
Wow. Witches are evil.
If I'm not back for season 3, please send help.
All right. That's it.
That's our show.
Yay! So that's it. That's our show. If you liked it, give us a rating and review, share with others, tell your friends. You'll find all our contact stuff over at magentaschoolofmagic.com, including our social media and links to the Magic School itself.